What is up, anglers? Hope you're having an awesome day. Today we're gonna do something a little bit different, and I'm gonna give you an overview of my new kayak, which is an Old Town Sportsman Pedal 120. I've taken this out on the water a couple times, so I'm gonna give you some of my thoughts, some of the things that I enjoy, some of the things that I'm still getting used to or maybe not enjoy so much, and also kind of give this to you from a fishing perspective to show you how I'm using the different elements for fishing when I'm out on the water. Let's take a look. All right, so here's a very high-level overview of the kayak. We're going to start up at the front and kind of go through everything in detail. This is still pretty vanilla. I have not had any modifications to it as of yet, but I do have some plan. Actually, why I have it out today is I'm going to go ahead and get those modifications done. So starting at the very tip here, of course, we have our drain plug. Nothing too extraordinary about this. The M-Nice is on the tip and not in an odd spot, which is pretty handy. Carry handle, again, nothing crazy about it. I have noticed though these top covers for these carry handles come loose as you're carrying them. You can see mine here is a bit loose, so I'll have to figure out how to get that glued down to make it nice and good to go. Now the front hatch here, they have put this, and you've probably seen this in other videos, for everything is one-handed operation to take the bungees off. Also, the hatch itself is pretty dang waterproof. I'll show you this seal that's on here. You can see here there's a rubberized seal here, and then this harder plastic piece in here as well. Two different types of plastic. It has more of a rubbery here, and this is a harder plastic there, which is nice, keeps everything watertight. Set this to the side. Inside, I just threw my box. They do give you one of these tackle boxes with a couple spare pins for your rudder in there as well. Let me go ahead and see if I can get you all inside so you can see how much space there is, which is ample. There's a lot. I haven't thrown a pole down here yet, but I'm pretty sure I could easily put a couple of poles in there to kind of store things as needed. I am excited about space to be able to put my battery in here. I may put it here in the middle of the boat. I haven't decided yet. Likely up here. But also for kayak camping in the future. I've left this down here the whole time. I've taken this on 2 trips, over 3 hours on each trip, and I've noticed no water inside here at all at this point. Close that back up. Now on top here is the actual pedal drive. This is the beast, kind of the main piece of the actual kayak itself. I am actually loving the pedal drive. I'm going to clip in a few on the water shots for you here. Just doing a quick pedal here real quick. So got this going. Nice, relaxed pedal. Got this just pointed straight. Some trees here so you can get an idea of speed. Now you do have to be cautious with this drive, as it doesn't have anything to bump up if you do hit a log or anything else like that. I am being pretty cautious since I don't have my fish finder on here. I don't have a view into the water currently, but I'm not really moving very fast either, which is always beneficial. I need to get a measurement on it. From what I can tell, it's about 18 inches or so down is how far that rudder is into the water. I could be wrong, so don't hold me to that. But that's just what it looks like from an eyeball distance. Now as far as turning and adjusting, things are pretty nice. Number one, I'm no hands right now, which is great. Frees me up to fish, to do anything else that I would like. I can make simple adjustments as I go. So if I want to head over this way, I just turn this rudder to the left, make my turn, straighten back out again, and I'm good to go. Something I did have to get used to is that the rudder still works even when you're not paddling, because you're still moving. I know it's a duh thing, but if you've never worked or had a rudder before, that's something new to get used to. The pedal drive will continue to go if you just kind of let it as you're going through the water. Again, the water's pushing the propeller underneath, and you can also stop it, no big deal. But I thought that was interesting, something I wasn't aware of. And the turning radius is great, so I'm going to just do a relaxed pedal here. We're going to do a 360-degree turn to the right, so we'll crank that to the right. And I'm going to hold it on here with my hand, just because I don't have my steering tightened down. I like to keep it pretty loose so I can adjust on the fly as needed. So we just went past 180. And 360. So pretty quick, on the water. Now let's go a little bit faster. Oop, looks like I found a stick there. So you can see with a little bit more force, this can get moving here pretty fast. Now the thing is, when you turn really sharp this way, that you have to get used to is, of course, the kayak is going to lean a little bit because there's a lot more force involved. A couple of the other things I like about this, obviously looking at the propeller, I've got instant reverse. That's why I went with a propeller drive instead of like a fin drive like on the Hobies or anything else like that, which is pretty beneficial. Also on this drive, something I really enjoy is two things. Has this pod here right there, and from what I've read and seen, that makes this whole thing waterproof in case it were to pop out. Morning, kitty. My cat. Also, there's this compartment right here on the kayak, and I may point this out on the water video as well, but it has a seal right here. There's a little rubberized seal that goes onto this lip and pretty much makes this waterproof. So it's nice. I throw my phone in there. It makes it easy. It's accessible. It's directly underneath my legs. So it's a great thing to have on there. Now let me go ahead and pop this pedal drive off. I'm gonna do this with one hand, so this will be interesting, just so we can get it out of the way. And take a look at the rest of the things on the kayak. Now up here, this scupper right here is actually for your transducer. There's a transducer mount on the bottom. Now I pulled that mount off as I want to show it to y'all real quick. So here's the transducer mount plate that's on the bottom. I'm going to put a ruler next to that to give you an idea of size. So if you're thinking about this kayak and using it to mount, I'm going to put it right above. Look at that sizing, look at those holes. They say it's a universal plate, but it's really not so universal. I have a Garmin Striker 4 CV, and this plate does not work for it. Also, something that we noticed, and let me go ahead and flip the kayak over here real quick. So here's the location for that mount, and you have to be cautious as it can stick out here. If you can see that kind of lip is sticking out a little bit. So I've designed a custom plate for myself that I can attach here, so it's good to go. There are also a few guys online that sell a mount that you can make and mount your transducer here. That'll keep it nice and flush and keep from getting hit as you're loading and unloading the kayak. While we're here, you can see the hull. This is kind of like a double pontoon style. It's my first one that is like this. It is extremely stable and I really enjoy it. It does have skid plates here. There's also a skid plate on the tail, which kind of help things a little bit. There's not one here at the very front, and I'll probably have to put kind of a keel guard on that just to help protect it over time. So moving to the cockpit area, we've got tracks on both sides that are built in. We've also got these little rubberized netting areas here. Now, I wasn't sure about sizing on these when I purchased it, but what I found is these are perfect for your plastics. So you can see there, they got about, what, 3/4 of an inch on both sides with your plastics. At first I was curious about a 3600 box. This is a 3600 box. Obviously it's not going to fit that way, but if you wanted to, you could also put it this way. Obviously it's going to stick up a little bit more than usual, but it's an option for you. On the bottom of the cockpit here, everything is formed really well and that the water is going to drain back down into the scupper holes. We do have some foam mats here, and really what I find myself just kind of pulling back a little bit. So when using the pedal drive, you're going to be scooted forward. I usually am about the 4th hole back to be able to access the pedals well. And when you're not using the pedal drive, like if you want to stand, you're going to scoot your seat all the way back. Now on the left-hand side here, we have the actual steering itself for the rudder in the back. Now there is a Tighten knot here to add friction if you want to make this kind of stick in place a little bit easier as you're moving. I keep mine pretty loose as I'm adjusting kind of on the fly all the time. And we have our forward-facing rod holder. I use this one a lot. And on the outside we have our taco clip with our extra kind of grasp on there to hold your paddle. Yes, you do still need to bring a paddle with you when you use a paddle drive. Next is this seat here. The seat is pretty comfortable. This is my first time having an actual nice kind of premium seat like this. There are adjustment straps on the side here, so you can adjust the back of this backwards or forwards more as you see fit. I tend to keep mine pretty far up myself. One thing I really like about this seat though is there's a shelf right here underneath it. It's a mesh shelf. And what I find myself doing a lot of the time is taking my 3600 boxes and sliding those directly underneath me. I can put a couple in here lengthwise without a problem at all, and they are within arm's reach for me whenever I need to change out my tackle. Now there is also storage underneath here. It's not as deep as storage, but it is there. You can also put this, of course, in widthwise like that. Not really enough room for two side by side, but there is enough room for one and a few other spare items as you need it. So easily you could carry and have 3 3600 boxes directly underneath you while fishing. Now before I move away from the cockpit area, I do want to show you one thing that was a bit of a surprise to me in the kayak itself, which is, you see there's a little bit of a saddle here for your rod and these kind of gullies right here to handle your rod as well. I thought these were neat, but weren't that cool. But after fishing a few times out here, I found that to be pretty much my favorite place to put my rod. And here's why. If I take my rod and I take it by the reel, I place it in the back and in the front like that, it's gonna fall right into place. It's out of the way of the pedals, so it's not gonna hit there. It's out of the way of my seat. And anytime I wanna switch rods, there's no twisting, there's no turning. I literally drop the other rod into the left-hand side, grab this on the right-hand side by the reel, and I'm ready to fish, which is pretty cool. Now moving back, we have our rear-facing rod holders. Let's scoot this down here and here. Now let me unclip the seat. Fold that up as well. So under the seat here, we have a locking hatch, okay? This really isn't meant to be accessible while you're on the water, but this does give you access to the inside of the hull for mounting additional accessories. There's a little bit of room here, but not a lot for storage for camping or anything else like that. And this has that same type of rubberized setup as your other hatch in the front, just with an addition of a lock. Folding the seat back again, out of the way. Now the back, our back tank well here is enormous. I'm easily able to put my milk crate in here and a 5-gallon bucket behind it. I am looking at getting a cooler that I can put in here to take out with me. The back of the boat, we have the actual rudder. I do like that this rudder folds up. I was originally looking at a native watercraft that had the rudder permanently on the bottom, but being that sometimes I have to drag in, I like the idea of having this fold down rudder that I could use. There is a shallow water anchor point back here, still got the sticker on it and everything. I'm probably not going to be using this for a while, but I may use this for a rear flag and light because I'd like to do some night fishing before long. Now the rudder controls back here, the steel cables are for the actual steering, which we looked at up there on the kayak. The nylon cord is for lifting and lowering it, which you can see the handle move up there as I move the rudder back here, which is nice. So I've actually really enjoyed being able to use this and drop this out when I'm on the water. One caution though, you see there's mud and everything on here. So if you're dragging this off a bit of a cliff or anything else like that and it hits here, it will hit that rudder control. I did that the other day, but luckily it was just in mud. Now on the right hand side of the kayak, we've got our cup holder, which is nice. Just a great place to land your cup while you're out and about, especially coffee or tea early in the morning. And your rudder control here, which this is just going to help you deploy your rudder when you're out and about. Do keep in mind when you're doing this, as it puts different forces on your rudder, you want to make sure your steering is locked down, or you also have a hand on your steering, which is handy dandy. So that's the Sportsman Pedal 120 by Old Town Canoe and Kayak. I'm looking forward to most of my videos actually being on this kayak in the future, and I'm getting ready to start rigging that up. So I have my camera, I have my fish finder, and of course another rod mount for any type of trolling I want to do. So in the future you'll be seeing a lot of videos from this particular kayak. If you have any questions about the kayak or thoughts, feel free to put them down below in the chat. I'll be sure to respond to those. That's all I got for y'all today. Hope you're having a wonderful day. If you can, get outside, make sure you're social distanced, make sure you're washing your hands, be safe, enjoy nature, my friends. Take care.